Hello, Abigail here with the Tarotscopes for Pisces season, Aries sun, moon, and rising. All right, Aries, so this season is intense for you for a lot of reasons. Firstly, your ruler, Mars, is going to be retrograde as we enter it. It has been retrograde since December 6th of last year. And as we move into, this Pisces season, we're coming to the close of that. Now, it does station direct on the 23rd, but then we have to go through that post shadow period. So we're not quite out of, the tunnel for this moment, but we are getting there. And it's important to note that your ruler's been retrograde. So if you've been frustrated or felt like things aren't lining up, there is a reason. Also, you're about to get hit pretty big this season, not to mention your season is next, and you share a portion of eclipse season with Pisces season. The last eclipse in Aries for the next 9 or so years happens at the end of March on the 29th. So you're really building up to this moment. Pisces season is going to feel like a buildup on top of Venus stationing retrograde and Mercury stationing retrograde in your sign in the early degrees. So check where your sign is. Obviously, by, just by association, just by being in Aries, everything gets hit. But especially if you are in the early degrees of Aries, from starts at 10 degrees, but you can go 5 degrees on either side. Um, this is where this, retrograde starts. And this is where we're leading up to. Venus is currently in Aries, and Mercury is going to enter Aries. Let me check the date here. On the 3rd of March, right after Venus stations retrograde. So there's a lot going on. We also have the Pisces new moon on the 27th of February. And then we also have that Virgo full eclipse, which is going to be something real special for everyone. Whether you got Virgo placements or not, it's all in your chart. So I just want you to be aware. You also have interesting set of cards, little bookend with some major arcana, with some minor arcana in between. It's also important to note that, as I sit here telling you all this wonderful news, that Neptune will be entering into Aries in Aries season. And then we're going to see Saturn going into Aries, and they will hang out there and then retrograde back and then be back in Aries once we enter 2026. So you and your sign are the focal point of some really intense stuff in 2025 and going into 2026. This is a big moment. Saturn's going to be in there for like 2.5 years roughly, and Neptune's going to be there for a long time. So it's not nothing to be scared of or afraid of. There's just a lot going on, and this Pisces season I think is going to really officially set the scene. We've already been getting the scene and the stage set. Something also important to note is that full moon that was eclipse free, the first one in Aries back in Libra season. This full moon, this new moon eclipse, Mars is at the exact same degree, 22 degrees of Cancer. So there's usually a callback between new and full moons in the same sign, but there's like an extra special pinpoint on this. And I know I'm talking about Pisces season dragging us into Aries season, but it's really important for you to be aware of what's happening and to know that you're undergoing some really intense change. And I get it. It was to have the North Node in Aries and all this stretching and growing, and then to get all of these ingresses does feel a bit unfair. It isn't great. It's kind of how definitely hugely different energy, different outcomes, but when the North Node went through Taurus and then Jupiter went into Taurus right after, it definitely felt like Jupiter was tripping over some raw ground, some raw flesh. So it's going to feel the same. You're going to feel like, why me again? But there's so much potential for change and growth, and Saturn in any sign really transforms the planets, even if it's not your Saturn return, although it is for definitely a group of you. Um, it transforms the way you view those planets, the way you interact with those planets to have those conjunctions with Saturn. So just be aware that that's what's coming. Um, I think it's exciting though, because we start off with your Oracle card, which I got these cards specifically for this season because I felt like I needed to freshen up my Oracle set. I don't use Oracle cards a lot, but I like to have them, especially for these kinds of readings. Um, and this one is The Lost Oracle by Fiona Horn, and it's nascent. Your potential is ripe. And nascent is that kind of beginning of anything, that moment where anything is possible and everything has potential. This Pisces season is the opening of a lot of doors for you. I also think you're going to have the opportunity to really connect with what you really want and what you want. And it's going to be different. Sorry, my brain just died. It's going to be different. A lot of the dreams I think that you had before that North Node are going to be different. And I want to, we hear a lot like, hang on to your dreams until you get them. But sometimes our dreams aren't meant for us. Sometimes our dreams are a path or a bridge to a better road or a bridge to a better place. I think a great example is my example. I was an opera singer for years and then realized during the Venus retrograde in Capricorn that it just didn't align with me anymore and that I didn't really want to be in that kind of culture as it was now. And I didn't really have the energy to change it, which later I found out I was absolutely right. I'm a disabled person and I'm also in my 30s. So I burnt myself to a crisp. Um, Burnout babe. Um, but that led me to many other beautiful things. And it didn't mean that that pursuance of that dream was wrong. It just meant that there was something else better that it was leading me to, that I needed. I needed that dream to get me to where I needed to be. And then that dream had served its purpose. And I think that's going to happen to a lot of you. And, if you're like, no, my dream is never changing, that's fine. But maybe the parameters of that dream have changed. Maybe you have less parameters. Maybe you're opening yourself up to limitless possibilities. With Neptune and Aries, you're going to have this ability to expand beyond, hopefully not beyond your capacity, but expanding beyond the limitations and bounds of your own mind, to be able to dream bigger than just that dream, to be able to see yourself beyond just this moment. So there's tons of potential in this eclipse season. There's tons of potential with this full moon in Pisces. And the reason I talk about this moon is we start off with the moon card. And yes, this is a full moon. But I do think if you haven't been working with kind of major lunar moments, I think this Pisces season might be the time. We have that Pisces new moon on the 27th. That is a non-eclipse moon. That is kind of the moment you're going to want to use to set things up as we go into the raging eclipse season. And then we have that full moon in Virgo, which is a full lunar eclipse, a blood moon. So really pay attention to where those lunations happen. If you don't want to do a ritual or something, maybe just sit on those days and write down what you really want. I will tell you that Virgo eclipse is going to be special. There's a lot going on, a lot of conjunctions. Important to note that Jupiter, the ruler of this moon, is still in Gemini. So we have that kind of quirky energy of the unexpected in there. Also, that North Node conjunction with Neptune and obviously the sun. And then, Saturn's not conjunct or close, but it's still there kind of by association just because it's a few degrees away. It's not an orb for me, but it definitely influences things. So pay attention to that. Also, this card, it's not just, excuse me, itchy nose. It's not just a literal interpretation. This is also about connecting to your emotions, connecting with your desires and how you want to feel. And, I have never had much luck manifesting through exact things. I never dream big enough. And well, that's not true. I dream wildly big, but I never dream in a direction that I truly want to go. I I dream in a kind of a fantasy way where I don't think if I got those things I would really actually want them. So I have learned that manifesting with my feelings is best. I manifest joy and peace and safety and comfort and excitement. And sometimes excitement. I actually kind of like a mundane life. And euphoria. Let's say that. Like, things can be exciting and not fun. And, happiness and feeling full and, being free from financial anxiety, things like that. So if you're like, well, Abigail, I don't know if these dreams are the dreams I want, or I want to let the universe have its head, but I'm also like, I don't want to lose my dreams. One of the bravest things you can do is manifest your feelings. Manifest how you would like to feel. And as an Aries, you're not going to have the same dreams that I have, although I do have Aries placements, which are about to get nailed by this Venus retrograde. I am an Aries Mercury and an Aries Venus. It's Fun. Anyways, manifest with your feelings, manifest with your desires, manifest, with how you would like to feel down the road if you don't know what is ahead for you, or if you really want to trust the universe. Um, I'm going to get to it, but I love that we start off with the moon and we're going to end with the sun, but we have some choices to make. And we have the Two of Pentacles. And when I was first learning the tarot, I really struggled with this card. And it's really about weighing your decision. It's also about decisions that aren't based on a snap judgment. They're not ones you're just going to kind of jump off and do. This is about weighing your options, about looking at what you have and about your gifts and about your time and your energy and your finances and really deciding what to do based on this. Um, it's kind of weighing what you like. And I want to make a good point that, it doesn't mean you have to, it's an either or situation. It can be a both and, but what are you going to prioritize? Which one are you going to pick to really focus on and nurture and care for? And it's also this idea of needing to learn to balance things and to juggle things and to, unfortunately, we usually get handed a lot more than we can carry. And so knowing how to juggle what you have to make it work, to give yourself a life that you deserve, to have hope and joy in the midst of whatever struggles you're going through. So it's going to require you in this Pisces season to be nimble of hand, foot, and eye, to really paying attention to what you want and what you have and how you would like to use it. Excuse me. Pardon, I have tummy problems and they often speak to me. Um, so really centering on that and allowing yourself um, to be in this in between time. Also with our, Oracle card nascent, this is a time of opportunity. So it's also a time to try things. Don't take things so seriously. Try something, doesn't work, don't do it, Um, be open to doing things that you haven't done before, or just taking, maybe there's an opportunity that you're like, well, that's not really my thing, but maybe it is this moment where you really get to learn something new or find out something fresh about yourself. And then we do have the Knight of Wands. I do like the representation of this card is less of a struggle bus, but there is a level of needing to release. I also think y'all have been going through it. That is the nature of having the North Node in your sign. It's a really wonderful, expansive energy, but it is not comfortable. I currently live astrocartography wise on a North Node line. It is never peaceful. I'll tell you that. So, this is just a moment, I think, in Pisces season where you need to slow down. And I think you need to take stock of where you've been and what you've done and what you've been through and really appreciate it and honor and celebrate maybe not what happened, but what you have accomplished and what you've endured and your strength and your resilience, and honor that resilience and strength by resting, by taking a step back. The eclipses are going to do what the eclipses are going to do, and you need to rest a little bit. And it might seem like the next card is contradicting this. And they're not really, because we do have a Son of Pentacles, which would be a knight in a traditional deck. But work on what you can work on. Hone what you can hone. It's time to focus on, especially when we're talking about, the two here, Two of Pentacles. It's time to hone the little thing. It's time to fine tune. Also, the Knight of Pentacles is progress, but it is thoughtful progress. It is, paying attention to the details in order to move ahead better. Whereas the Knight of Swords and the Knight of Wands might charge into things blindly. The Knight of Pentacles looks ahead at the road and picks the path that best suits them and their horse. The Knight of Pentacles, is like, if I have a 3-day journey, then you know, I'm going to travel this many miles to get to this point to set up camp, whereas the Knight of Wands might be forced to rest because they've driven themselves and their horse too hard, or the Knight of, the other knights might have maybe overdone it a bit. The Knight of Pentacles takes things in stride. And if there's an obstacle, they take a moment to sit with that obstacle. So I really think there's kind of an echo between the Nine of Wands and the Two of Pentacles and the Son of Pentacles. really reminding you to be thoughtful. And I think this is also a kind of reverberation of that retrograde energy with Mars, your ruler. Like I said, we're not out of it. We're going to be going through the post shadow period. We're not going to be out of the post shadow period by the time we're done with Pisces season. So, just a reminder to allow yourself to continue to live in that Mars retrograde space. And if you've been pushing against it, use the post shadow period to let it settle in. Well, oftentimes I find that we all feel energy differently, and some people feel things in the middle of the retrograde, some people feel things before the retrograde, some people feel things after, or all three. It really depends on what planet is retrograding, what sign. A lot of times with Venus, I kind of get reverberations after. Part of it's because of where my Venus is placed in the eighth house, where I don't have as much visibility. Um, but, you know, then with other planets like Mars, also for me hidden, I kind of get aftershocks from Mars retrogrades. But with Mercury retrogrades, even though it's in a tricky place, but I'm ruled by it, I tend to kind of struggle before. And then I hit a point mid retrograde where I'm like, oh, this is how it's going to go. And then everything feels a lot easier. So just know that you're not going to feel this energy completely. And I think for a lot of you, you're going to feel a bit of a hangover from that Mars retrograde. Allow yourself to be hungover. Allow yourself to take that time to sit with yourself, to observe, to watch the energy move, to pay attention to what things work best for you instead of constantly pushing against stuff. Start to strategize. You know, Mars is forward thinking and passionate, and a lot of Aries I know really plow ahead without sitting and thinking about what they're doing. But Mars is also a warrior and also very adept at fighting. And people who are adept at fighting pay attention to their opponent, plan ahead, strategize, pick the best options. They don't always rush into things. Let this post retrograde shadow be that time where you start to be a strategic warrior, where you start to pick your battles, where you choose where to put your energy, and then you let it go full throttle, pedal to the metal. And last but not least, we do have the sun. In all of these shifts and changes and twists and turns, the goal is not to change who you are. The goal is to allow you to shine brighter, to give you the freedom to be yourself. And as we're talking about maybe looking at and reconsidering your dreams at this time, especially with Neptune heading closer and closer to Aries and stuff, you know, the considering the dreams isn't so you don't have your needs met or you don't get to be yourself. It is just to make sure that it is in alignment, that these dreams are things that are going to bring you light and joy and the visibility and the success that you deserve. And I don't usually pull an extra card from the bottom, but I've been told I should show you this. We have an Eight of Cups. You will need to leave something behind in this season, whether it be a dream or a person, or because we are in a Venus retrogrades, a lot of them really test our relationships. And this isn't just intimate, romantic ones. This can be friendships, family, career, work related stuff. You have it, but you are going to have to walk away from something. I think the reminder is that it is going to bring you closer to your truest, best path, but it doesn't mean that it's going to be easy. And I think as a final message, with knowing that this is all towards your greater good, also this kind of internalized versus externalized things and kind of bringing them together in this Pisces season. In all of this, there is great potential. And you are kind of starting off on something I don't even know if you're aware has started yet. But it's here. You might get the inklings in Pisces season. Believe in yourself, continue to do so. But also make sure that the things that you desire for yourself actually work with who you are essentially, and work on embracing, you know, your kind of native gifts and talents and desires rather than, trying to attain or be something that you're not because it, externally looks good. You're going to be seen and viewed for who you are no matter what you do. So you might as well let that shine and glow and expand and continue to get bigger and stronger and better. Anyways, my dear Aries, heavy people, this is my reading for Pisces season. I am excited for Lily Candle talking to us. I am excited for everything that you are and that you're going to be bringing into this Pisces season. Yes, you're going to feel a bit slowed down, but this is the time to, instead of being frustrated, to really take this and internalize it and sit with it and strategize and make plans for the future because there's so much potential in this Pisces season for you. Anyways, my loves, blessed Pisces season, and I will see you in a different place and time. Oh, if you have any questions, pop them in the comments. And also, please like and subscribe. It brings my little autistic heart joy.